Welcome back to another deep dive. You shared this one with us, Tony Robbins' Money, Master the Game. So let's jump right in. And to help us break down Robbins' 7 steps to financial freedom, we're joined by financial expert Olivia Smith.
Hey, it's great to be here. I think people are going to be surprised by how many of those strategies are things you can start doing right away.
All right, so Tony Robbins is known for his motivational speaking. But in this book, he's diving deep into the nitty-gritty of personal finance. What's the core message?
Yeah, absolutely. He really went all in for this one. Robbins interviewed over 50 financial titans for money, master the game, billionaires, hedge fund managers, people who really know how to make money work for them.
So what do you find out?
It's not about luck or some secret formula. It's about understanding the rules of the game and having a solid plan.
That makes sense. But the financial landscape can feel like a jungle sometimes, especially with all the conflicting advice out there.
You're telling me. And Robbins acknowledges that right away. You know, the first chapter is even called Welcome to the Jungle. And he doesn't sugarcoat the challenges we face, things like fading pensions, potential shortfalls in Social Security, and the very real possibility of outliving our savings.
Yeah, that's a big one these days.
I mean, it's scary. He cites studies showing that a large percentage of Americans might actually see their assets disappear before they die.
Okay, that is pretty scary. So what's the antidote to that fear? Where do we start?
He starts by emphasizing the power of compounding. You know, that's really the foundation of his entire approach. He recommends aiming to save and invest at least 10% of your income, and ideally even more.
So consistency is key.
It's like consistently planting seeds that will grow into a mighty financial forest over time. He shares those inspiring stories, like Theodore Johnson, the UPS worker who became a multimillionaire by diligently investing a portion of his paycheck. It's all about starting early and letting time do its magic.
That's pretty amazing. So we're talking long-term strategies here, but it's easy to get caught up in those get-rich-quick schemes you see everywhere. Does Robbins address any of that?
Oh, he definitely does. He debunked some common myths, like the idea that mutual funds are always a safe bet. He points out the hidden fees that can eat away at your returns and emphasizes the importance of understanding exactly what you're investing in. And he even cautions against blindly trusting brokers.
So it sounds like step 1 is taking control and educating yourself. What are some of the other steps Robbins lays out in his plan?
Well, one thing he really encourages is for readers to become financial insiders by understanding the rules of the game.
What does that mean?
Learning about different investment vehicles like those market-linked CDs and understanding how to manage risk effectively. Moving from a consumer mindset where you're constantly spending to an owner mindset where you're building assets that generate income.
I like that. Becoming an owner.
And it goes hand in hand with defining your financial dreams. What does financial security look like for you? How much money do you need to live the life you want? Having clear goals will keep you motivated and on track.
You know what? It's easy to lose sight of the big picture if you don't have that clear vision.
It's true. And then he also stresses the importance of creating a lifetime income plan.
So that's like building a stream of income that continues even after you stop working.
Exactly. That's a key piece of the retirement puzzle. So many people are worried about their money running out.
It's a big concern these days.
Absolutely. And Robbins suggests exploring strategies like guaranteed income annuities, which provide a fixed stream of income for life, and even those market-linked CDs we talked about earlier. He's advocating for strategies that offer both growth potential and a level of protection against market downturns.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like building a safety net while still allowing for some upside potential.
Exactly. And, he also dives into some strategies favored by the ultra-wealthy. Things like private placement life insurance or PPLI.
Now that one sounds a bit more complex.
It is a more complex topic, but essentially it allows for tax advantage growth and asset protection.
Okay, maybe we can unpack that a bit more in a future episode.
That'd be great.
But so far, we've got taking control, defining our dreams, and creating a lifetime income plan. What else?
Robbins encourages learning from the best.
Okay, who are we talking about here?
He shares insights from billionaires like Icahn, Warren Buffett, and Ray Dalio. Each of them has a unique approach, but there are some common threads that run through their advice.
I bet. Like what?
Things like discipline, long-term thinking, and the importance of understanding the fundamentals of a business.
So it's like getting a peek behind the curtain and learning from the masters themselves.
Exactly. And it's not a one-time thing. Robbins stresses the importance of constantly upgrading your financial literacy. The market is always changing, so you need to be adaptable and stay informed.
So it's a continuous learning process. Never stop exploring.
That's right.
So what's the final piece of the puzzle here?
Well, Robbins reminds us that financial success isn't everything. He emphasizes the importance of living a life of meaning and giving back to others. He believes that true wealth encompasses financial freedom, emotional well-being, and a sense of purpose.
Yeah, I love that he ties it all back to purpose. It's not just about accumulating wealth, but using it to make a positive impact. So those are the 7 steps.
Yep. And the beauty of Robbins' approach is that it's both comprehensive and actionable. He doesn't just tell you what to do, he gives you the tools and resources to actually implement these strategies.
It's really starting to feel like we're building that money machine from the ground up, one step at a time.
You got it. And just like any machine, it takes some effort to set it up and keep it running smoothly. But once you do, it can generate incredible results.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork with those 7 steps.
Yeah.
Let's dig into some specifics. I'm particularly interested in the idea of asset allocation and diversification. How does Robbins approach that?
He has a really interesting take on it. He advocates for dividing your investments into 3 buckets: security growth and dream lie. The security bucket is all about protecting your capital.
Okay, so that's like the foundation of your portfolio, the part that keeps you feeling secure.
Exactly. It's for those rock-solid investments that are unlikely to fluctuate wildly, things like short-term government bonds and inflation-protected securities.
So pretty low-risk stuff.
Yeah. Then you have the growth bucket,
Right.
which is for investments that have the potential for higher returns but also carry more risk. Think stocks, bonds, real estate, things like that. Robbins suggests seeking advice from experts like David Swenson, who managed Yale's endowment, to understand how to diversify effectively within this bucket.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's a balance between stability and growth. What about the dream bucket? I'm curious about that one.
Dream bucket. This is where things get exciting. This bucket is for those more speculative, high-risk, high-reward investments, things you wouldn't mind losing if they don't pan out. Think of it as funding those moonshot ideas and passions.
So it's like taking a calculated risk on those things that really light you up, even if they seem a bit out there.
Exactly. And even if some of those ventures don't work out, the potential upside from the ones that do succeed can be life-changing.
Okay, so we've got our security growth and dream buckets. That's a really helpful framework. But what about the psychological side of money? I know Robbins talks a lot about mindset.
He does, and it's such a critical aspect of financial success. He talks about shifting from a scarcity mindset, that feeling of never enough, to an abundance mindset, the belief that there's plenty to go around and that you can create the wealth you desire.
I can definitely see how that shift in perspective would make a huge difference in how you approach money.
Absolutely. And he shares some really powerful anecdotes about people who were able to overcome limiting beliefs about money and achieve financial breakthroughs.
Like what kind of anecdotes?
For example, he emphasizes the importance of gratitude, focusing on what you have rather than what you lack. And he even connects gratitude to happiness, suggesting that spending money on experiences and things that bring us joy can actually boost our overall well-being.
So it's not just about saving every penny, but making sure you're enjoying the journey along the way.
I like that. That's a good way to put it.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. The 7 steps, the 3 buckets, the importance of mindset. It feels like we're building a solid foundation for financial freedom.
I think so too.
What's next on our deep dive into Tony Robbins' Money, Master the Game?
Well, next we'll delve into some specific insights Robbins gathered from those financial masters he interviewed, folks like Carl Icahn, Paul Tudor Jones, and of course Warren Buffett. It's like getting a glimpse into the billionaires' playbook.
That's awesome. I can't wait.
Me too. We'll see what secrets they're willing to share.
Stay tuned, folks. We'll be back in a moment to continue our deep dive into Tony Robbins' Money, Master the Game. Welcome back. We're continuing our deep dive into Tony Robbins' Money, Master the Game, and now we're getting into the really juicy stuff. Those strategies favored by the financial elite.
Yeah, Robbins calls this section the billionaires' playbook, and it's packed with wisdom from folks like Carl Icahn, Paul Tudor Jones, and of course Warren Buffett.
Awesome. So each of them has their own unique approach, but what are some of the things they all emphasize?
They all emphasize the importance of thinking long-term and having a clear understanding of the underlying assets.
Okay, so let's start with Carl Icahn. Robbins calls him the master of the universe. He's known for his aggressive investing style.
Yeah, he's definitely a force to be reckoned with.
So what's his approach?
Icahn's a big believer in value investing, finding those undervalued companies with strong fundamentals and pushing for changes that unlock their potential.
It sounds like he takes a very active role in his investments.
Absolutely. He's not afraid to go against the grain and challenge the status quo. He stresses the importance of doing your homework, understanding a company's financials, its management team, and its competitive landscape before investing.
Okay, so that's Icahn's approach. What about Paul Tudor Jones? He's the hedge fund guru who famously predicted the 1987 stock market crash.
Right. Jones is all about risk management. He's a big believer in protecting your downside and not letting losses get out of control.
So how does he do that?
Well, he even uses a simple technical indicator, the 200-day moving average, to help him identify trends and manage risk.
Hold on, can you explain that one for those of us who aren't technical traders?
Yeah.
What's the 200-day moving average?
Sure. Imagine you're plotting the average price of a stock over the past 200 days. You're basically smoothing out the daily fluctuations to see the overall trend. If the current price is above that 200-day average, it suggests an upward trend and vice versa.
I see, so it helps you see the big picture.
Exactly. And Jones uses this as a signal to potentially buy or sell.
Interesting. So it's not just about the numbers, it's about interpreting them.
Right. And he stresses the importance of having a clear plan and sticking to it, even when emotions are running high.
That's easier said than done.
It can be. He knows that fear and greed can lead to impulsive decisions, so having a predetermined strategy helps you stay disciplined.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, what about David Swensen? He's the guy who turned Yale's endowment into a financial powerhouse. What are some of his secrets?
Swensen is a proponent of diversification and long-term investing.
So not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. He recommends a portfolio that includes a mix of stocks, bonds, real estate, and other assets strategically allocated to weather different economic conditions. He emphasizes the importance of keeping costs low and is a big fan of index funds.
Which basically offer broad market exposure at a lower cost.
Right, a fraction of the cost of actively managed funds.
So it's like spreading your bets and letting the market do its work over time.
Yeah, and it's interesting to note that even Warren Buffett, the world's most famous stock picker, has come around to endorsing index funds, especially for the average investor.
Wow, that's a pretty powerful endorsement. It seems like simplicity and patience are key themes here.
Definitely. And Robbins also digs into the world of annuities, which have a bit of a mixed reputation.
Yeah, some people love them, some people hate them.
He acknowledges that many annuities out there are laden with high fees and complex terms, but he highlights a specific type, fixed indexed annuities that can offer guaranteed income and principal protection, especially for those approaching retirement.
So it's about finding the right type of annuity and making sure you understand the terms.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to see how these billionaires view risk and security. They're not just chasing the highest returns, they're also thinking about protecting their wealth and ensuring a steady stream of income.
Right. It's like that security bucket we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
They've built that solid foundation so they can afford to be a bit more adventurous with the growth and dream buckets.
Exactly. And it highlights the importance of having a holistic approach to financial planning, thinking about both offense and defense, so to speak. Now, speaking of defense, Robbins also explores a more advanced strategy used by the wealthy private placement life insurance, or PPLI.
You mentioned that briefly earlier. Can you unpack that one for us? It sounds pretty complex.
It is a bit complex, but essentially PPLI is a type of life insurance policy that allows you to invest funds within the policy and defer taxes on the growth. It also offers some asset protection benefits.
So it's like a hybrid between insurance and investment.
Exactly. And it's often used by high net worth individuals to manage their tax liability and protect their assets from potential creditors.
That's fascinating. It's like a whole other level of financial strategy.
It is. And while it might not be accessible to everyone, it's interesting to see how the wealthy leverage these strategies to build and preserve their wealth.
Absolutely. Gives us some ideas to aspire to as we build our own money machines. Speaking of which, I know Robbins talks a lot about the importance of mindset. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
He does. He believes that our beliefs and emotions play a huge role in our financial success. He talks about shifting from a scarcity mindset, the fear of not having enough, to an abundance mindset, the belief that there's plenty to go around.
But how do you actually make that shift?
It's not always easy. You're right. But Robbins provides some practical tools and techniques to help us shift our perspective. He shares a story about a successful screenwriter who struggled financially because she subconsciously believed that money was evil. It's a perfect example of how our limiting beliefs can hold us back even when we have the talent and opportunities to succeed.
Wow, that's interesting. So our beliefs can really shape our reality.
They can. And Robbins suggests starting each day by reflecting on what you're grateful for, even the small things. He believes that cultivating gratitude can shift our perspective and help us focus on the positive, which can lead to better decisions and outcomes. He even connects gratitude to happiness, suggesting that spending money on experiences and things that bring us joy can actually boost our overall well-being.
That's a great reminder. It's not just about hoarding money, it's about using it to create a life that feels rich and fulfilling.
Exactly. And speaking of creating a rich life, let's move on to Robbins' vision for the future. A future of abundance fueled by technological innovation.
Okay, this is where things get really futuristic.
It is. He highlights advancements in fields like artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and nanotechnology that have the potential to solve some of the world's biggest challenges.
So what kind of advancements are we talking about?
He talks about the possibility of 3D printed organs, personalized medicine, and even reversing the aging process.
Whoa, that sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie.
I know, right? It's incredible. And he shares a story about Easton LaChapelle, a teenage inventor who created a 3D printed robotic arm controlled by brainwaves.
What? That's amazing.
This kid started tinkering in his garage and ended up collaborating with NASA.
That's so cool. It gives me hope for the future.
Me too. And Robbins also talks about the potential for technology to address water scarcity, food production, and energy needs.
Okay, so he's not just talking about cool gadgets. He's talking about solutions to some of humanity's biggest problems.
He is. He mentions Dean Kammen's slingshot water purifier, which can turn any water source into clean drinking water, and Ray Kurzweil's vision of vertical farms that could produce food more efficiently and sustainably.
It's amazing to think about all the possibilities.
I think so too. And he emphasizes that it's not just about technology, but about human ingenuity and collaboration. He believes that by embracing innovation, working together, and shifting our mindset, we can create a future where everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
Wow, that's a powerful message. But even with all this talk of abundance and technological advancements, I think it's important to ground ourselves in what truly matters. Does Robbins address the spiritual side of things at all?
He does. He shares a profound experience he had with the Dalai Lama, highlighting the importance of compassion, understanding, and spiritual growth.
That's beautiful. It's not just about material wealth, but about cultivating inner peace and connection.
Absolutely. And he talks about an interfaith peace conference where he witnessed leaders from different religions coming together to promote harmony and understanding. It's a beautiful reminder that we're all connected and that we have more in common than we often realize.
I love that. So it's about finding that balance between material abundance and spiritual fulfillment.
Precisely. And he emphasizes the importance of finding meaning and purpose beyond material wealth. He shares a story about a billionaire who was physically and emotionally suffering despite his financial success, a reminder that true wealth encompasses all aspects of our lives.
Yeah, sometimes we forget that.
It's true. And Robbins encourages us to define what success truly means to us and to make decisions that align with our values and aspirations. It's not about following someone else's definition of success, but creating our own.
This deep dive into money, master the game, has been incredibly insightful. It feels like we've covered everything.
We have, from practical financial strategies to mindset shifts to technological advancements that could reshape the future, and we've even touched on the spiritual dimension of wealth.
Okay, before we wrap up this part, I want to circle back to that idea of the money machine that we keep coming back to. What are some key takeaways we can use to start building our own?
Well, I think one of the biggest takeaways is the importance of taking control of our financial lives. We can't just sit back and wait for things to happen. We need to be proactive and make informed decisions. That means educating ourselves about different investment options, understanding the power of compounding, and developing a solid financial plan.
So it's about becoming financially literate and empowered.
Exactly. And it's also about cultivating the right mindset,
Yeah.
shifting from scarcity to abundance, focusing on what we're grateful for, and aligning our financial goals with our deeper values and aspirations.
It's about creating a life that feels rich and meaningful, not just financially, but in all areas.
You got it. And let's not forget about those practical strategies we learned from the Billionaires Playbook, things like diversifying our investments, managing risk, and exploring different income-generating assets. We can take inspiration from those who have already achieved financial success and adapt their strategies to fit our own unique circumstances.
This has been an amazing journey. We've explored so many facets of personal finance and wealth creation. But before we send our listeners off to start building their own money machines, I have one final question for you. What's the one piece of advice that you would give to someone who's just starting out on their financial journey?
That's a great question. I think the most important piece of advice I would give is to start now. Don't wait until you feel like you have enough money or enough knowledge. Even if you can only invest a small amount each month, the power of compounding will work its magic over time. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs along the way, but the key is to stay focused on your goals, keep learning, and never give up on your dreams.
That's fantastic advice. Start now, stay focused, and keep learning. I love it. And on that note, we're going to wrap up part 2 of our deep dive into Tony Robbins' Money, Master the Game. But don't worry, we'll be back soon with part 3. We'll explore some final thoughts and leave you with some questions to ponder as you continue your financial journey. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into Money, Master the Game. We've covered a lot of ground, from those foundational 7 steps to the billionaire's playbook, and even touched on the importance of mindset and the future of abundance.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey, and I think we've gleaned some incredibly valuable insights that can help anyone regardless of where they are on their financial journey.
Absolutely. Now, I want to circle back to that question we posed earlier about designing your ideal money machine. We've been building this metaphorical machine throughout our deep dive, piece by piece. What do you think are some of the essential components?
Well, for me, the foundation of any good money machine is a solid financial plan, understanding your income expenses and goals, creating a budget that works for you, automating your savings, and investing wisely.
So it's not just about earning more money, but about managing what you have effectively.
Exactly. And I think the 3-bucket approach, security, growth, and dream, is a really helpful framework for thinking about asset allocation. It allows you to balance risk and reward, ensuring that you're both protecting your capital and pursuing growth opportunities.
Right. And we can't forget about the importance of mindset. Cultivating an abundance mindset, focusing on gratitude, and aligning our financial goals with our values.
Absolutely. The mental and emotional aspects of money are just as important as the practical strategies. And let's not forget about those powerful lessons we learned from the financial masters, things like discipline, patience, and long-term thinking.
It's like they've given us a blueprint for success.
They have. And the best part is that we can take those principles and adapt them to our own unique situations. It's not about copying their exact strategies, but about understanding the underlying principles and applying them in a way that makes sense for us.
This deep dive has been a real eye-opener for me. It's given me a whole new perspective on personal finance and the possibilities that exist.
Me too. And I think it's important to remember that financial freedom isn't just about accumulating wealth. It's about having the resources and the flexibility to live the life you want, to pursue your passions, and to make a positive impact on the world.
Beautifully said. Now, before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a final question to ponder. If you could wave a magic wand and instantly have your ideal money machine up and running, what would it look like? What investments would it include? What strategies would it employ? And most importantly, how would you use that financial freedom to create a life of meaning and purpose?
That's a fantastic question. It really gets to the heart of why we're doing all of this. It's not just about the money itself, but about the freedom and the opportunities it can create.
Exactly. And I think it's an important question for each of us to ask ourselves. What do we truly want? What legacy do we want to leave behind? Once we have those answers, we can start building our money machines with intention and purpose.
And remember, the journey itself is just as important as the destination. Enjoy the process of learning, growing, and creating the life of your dreams.
That's such an important reminder. Thank you so much, Olivia, for joining us on this deep dive into Tony Robbins' Money. Master the Game. It's been an absolute pleasure.
The pleasure was all mine. I've loved exploring these ideas with you.
And to all our listeners, thank you for joining us on this financial adventure. We hope you've gained some valuable insights and are feeling inspired to take control of your financial future. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep building those money machines. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.